All right, so yesterday our I can statement was I can translate expressions using numbers, letters, and operations. So that's what we're going to keep doing for the rest of the week. All right, it's going to be the same page we left off from yesterday. So you turn the page from the front page. It's going to be right after 4 through 11 that we did yesterday. And our first blanks that we're going to fill in. So yesterday we just did addition and subtraction with translating, right? Today we're going to do multiplication and division. Multiplication and division is actually easier than addition and subtraction when translating. So your blanks for today are multiplication is written side by side with the coefficient in front of the variable. That's your blanks. Multiplication is written side by side with the coefficient in front of the variable. So make sure you fill in those blanks in your packet. The coefficient, is it the number or the letter? The number, and the variable is the letter. And so when it's talking about, we're talking about multiplication. And it's written side by side. If something is side by side, is there anything between it? If I draw a square and a circle side by side, is there anything in between it? No, there's not another shape or anything between it. It's right next to each other. So that means the coefficient and the variable are next to each other. So we don't put a multiplication sign in there when we have a variable. So if I have 4 times n, or we actually use our dot, 4 times n, I don't write it that way anymore. I write it side by side, 4n. Okay, what's at the front at all the times? The coefficient is in the front, meaning the number always comes first. Okay? So when multiplying, the number always comes first. So if I have q times 3, how would I write it? 3q. Because the coefficient is always in the front. That's the proper mathematical way to write it. Okay? So let's practice that sum. So we have the product of 9 and n. What is product a keyword for? What is product a keyword for? Multiplication. So you've got, how would you write that? 9n. Okay? How do I write q times 12? 12q. All right. So we would write it 9n, 12q. How would I do twice a number n? 2n. 16 multiplied by j. 16j. Questions? It's pretty easy, right? It's just the number comes first, and then you put the letter after it. We are. We are. Next Tuesday, we have a test over this. I mean, it's going to be what we did last week, too. But this All right. So then we move in. So you work with multiplication, so your question should be about division next. And with division, we have to determine which one's the divisor and which one's the dividend. So I want you to make a note on your paper. Okay? I want you to make a note. I want you to write dividend fraction bar right here. I want you to point and I want you to say divided by the divisor. So you have dividend divided by divisor. I need you to write that on your paper because it's very important. The dividend comes first in the division problem. Then you have your division sign, then you have the divisor. So if I had 27 divided by 4, okay, this would be the what? The dividend, and the 4 would be the divisor. So 27 would be the dividend, 4 would be the divisor. So to write it in the fraction form, 27 would go on top, divided by 4. And that's how we would read it. Okay? Alright, so to practice, we have K divided by 10. How would I write that? K, oops, let me throw my marker on. K divided by 10. Because divided by. Multiplication is the only one where the number always comes first. Okay? Number 2, the quotient of x and 6. X divided by 6. Now your number 3 is different than my number 3. It says n divided by c. So how would I do that? What does it say? It says 9 divided by c. So what's going to go on top? 9 divided by c. Here's your divided by sign, right? So what's going to go on top? What? 9 divided by c. For c to go up top, it would be c divided by 9. So whatever comes first. You know the song, Walk It Like I Talk It?
Yeah.
You know that song?
Yeah.
So when you have translating expressions, you write it like it's written. Okay? Instead of walk it like it's talk it. Walk it like you talk it, you write it like it's written. Okay? So if 9 divided by c comes first, then 9 comes first. Okay? So the quotient of 4 and q. What does quotient mean? Divide. So the quotient of 4 and q. So 4 divided by q.
I thought you just said that the number whenever you're on the top.
I didn't say that. I said that the number always goes first only in multiplication. But in division, it could be different. It could be either one. Okay? We've got some more practice here. So it talks about an equation. An equation just sets the two expressions equal to each other and has an equal sign. So we've got 8 problems here. Okay? So before we start translating these, there's a key word in some of these. That key word is. If you look at your reference sheet, where does is fall under? Equals. Every time you see the word is, I want you to think equals, and I want you to put an equal sign over it. So we're going to go through these, and we're going to look to see is there an equal sign in 1? I mean, is the word is in the number 1? So we're going to put an equal sign over it. Is there an equal sign in number 2? Is there going to be 1 and 3? 4?
Yes.
Yes, because there's is in 4. What about 5? Is there a word is in there?
Yes.
Yes. Any of the other ones?
No.
No. So now we're going to go back and we can start filling in our stuff. So we've got 4 times W. How can we write that? 4 times W is going to be 4W is means equals, and then we just bring down 18. So we're just bringing it down. All right. Number 2, n divided by 7. N divided by 7. We're going to skip number 3 for right this second and go to number 4. 14 is half of G. Of falls under what operation? Look at your reference sheet. Multiplication. So we're going to write it. We're going to bring down 14 is half of G. Does that make sense? You're looking at me kind of crazy. Why does this not make sense, but you had it when we were doing just the multiplication? What's throwing you off?
Why would it not be 14G?
Because it says 14 is equal to this. All right. Number 5, the product of, what is product? What operation is product? Multiplication of R and 9. How are we going to write that? 9R is, bring down your equal sign, 45. That one make more sense? Kinda. All right, you're trying to overthink it. It's the biggest thing. Yes, sir.
That actually reminds me a lot of distributed culture.
It is. The difference between 5 and B. What does difference mean? Subtract between 5 and B. So how can we do that? 5 minus B. You've got to look for your key words to tell you what operation we're going to be working with. All right, number 7, the quotient division of S and 8. So how would I write that? S divided by 8. All right, the quotient of M and 5. So quotient means M divided by 5 plus 9. You just write it how it's written. So if you go back to number 3, it says 1/3 the sum of 11 and P. When you see the sum of, that means parentheses. So we've got the sum, which is what? What operation is the sum? Add, so it'd be 11 plus P with 1/3 on the outside. And we're going to practice those. Those are a little bit more difficult. We'll practice those later. All right. So tomorrow we're going to continue to practice with this, with translating and things like that.
You said why 1 and not 2.